Today, I want to share with you a powerful science-based practice called non-sleepdeeprest or NSDR. In just 10 minutes, this protocol can help reset your nervous system, restore mental clarity, and replenish physical energy. NSDR is not meditation, it's not sleep, but it leverages the same brain and body mechanisms that enhance recovery, learning, and focus. What you're about to experience is a tool you can use anytime, morning, afternoon, or evening, to recharge your system without caffeine or stimulants. Think of it as pressing a reset button for your brain and body. Non-sleep deep rest or NSDR is a practice that directly resets the nervous system by shifting the brain and body into a state of profound relaxation while maintaining a degree of conscious awareness. To understand how and why this works, it's useful to briefly consider how the nervous system operates under stress and rest. Throughout the day, our autonomic nervous system moves between two broad states, the sympathetic state, often referred to as fight or flight, and the parasympathetic state, sometimes described as rest and digest. When we're engaged in work, exposed to constant notifications, managing tasks, or dealing with everyday challenges, the sympathetic system is active. This state is adaptive for productivity, but if it remains chronically elevated, it leads to mental fatigue, irritability, difficulty focusing, and even a weakened ability to recover physically. NSDR provides a structured, science-supported way to deliberately shift into the parasympathetic mode and reset that balance. During NSDR, the body becomes very still, breathing slows down, heart rate variability increases, and brainwave activity moves from fast, alert beta states into slower alpha and theta states. These brain states are associated with deep relaxation, creativity, and heightened neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to rewire and learn. What makes NSDR unique is that unlike sleep, where consciousness is absent or fragmented, here you remain gently aware of your body and environment while still allowing the nervous system to deeply recover. Research has shown that even short bouts of deliberate rest, such as NSDR, can significantly reduce cortisol, the hormone released during stress, and bring measurable changes in brain activity patterns. Studies of similar protocols, including yoga nidra, have demonstrated improvements in emotional regulation, cognitive performance, and reductions in perceived stress after just a single session. This means that NSDR is not only about relaxation in the moment, but about creating a physiological reset that enhances how the nervous system functions afterward. Another important mechanism behind NSDR's ability to reset the nervous system involves the control of breathing. As you lie still and focus on guided relaxation, your breath naturally slows and deepens, engaging the vagus nerve, which acts as a major communication pathway between the body and the brain. When activated, the vagus nerve signals the brain to downshift arousal, reduce heart rate, and calm the release of stress-related chemicals. This interplay between body and brain is a feedback loop. As the breath slows, the mind relaxes, and as the mind relaxes, the body follows. Over time, regular NSDR practice strengthens this feedback system, making it easier to access calm states even during daily challenges. Beyond the immediate benefits, NSDR also provides a protective effect against the cumulative wear and tear of stress. In neuroscience, this wear and tear is often described as allostatic load, the cost the body pays for constantly adapting to pressures without enough recovery. By resetting the nervous system in just 10 minutes, NSDR offers a low, cost-accessible, and drug-free method of reducing that load. It acts as a buffer, preserving both mental and physical energy reserves, and allowing the nervous system to return to a baseline where it can better adapt to future demands. For many people, the challenge is not that they lack energy, but that their nervous system is caught in a state of chronic overdrive. The beauty of NSDR is that it doesn't require special equipment, long training, or complicated techniques. It simply provides a structured window in which the body is given explicit permission to disengage from external pressures, to slow down, and to recalibrate the delicate balance of the nervous system. What you end up with is not just a feeling of calm during the practice, but a measurable restoration of your capacity to focus, learn, and act afterward. One of the most powerful effects of non-sleep deep rest is its ability to restore focus and mental clarity. In the modern environment, our attention is under constant strain. Every notification, email, and conversation pulls at the limited resources of the prefrontal cortex, the brain region responsible for focus, decision, making, and executive control. Over time, this continual demand leads to what many experience as brain fog, mental fatigue, or the inability to sustain concentration on a single task. Science has shown that even brief episodes of deliberate disengagement from active thought can provide the neural reset required for those circuits to function at their best again. NSDR serves exactly this role. By creating conditions that mimic some of the restorative qualities of sleep while maintaining awareness, the brain essentially gets a mini reset that clears away residual stress and cognitive clutter. When we enter an NSDR state, brainwave activity slows down into alpha and theta rhythms, which are the same states observed in deep relaxation and early phases of sleep. In these states, the brain is not actively processing the barrage of external stimuli that it normally encounters, and this break allows neural circuits to recover their baseline activity patterns. Just as a computer runs faster and smoother after a restart, the brain operates with greater clarity after these short restorative intervals. People often report that after 10 minutes of NSDR, they are able to return to tasks with renewed energy, sharper focus, and a sense of mental spaciousness that wasn't available before. This restoration of clarity is not simply a subjective feeling, but has measurable underpinnings. Research demonstrates that practices similar to NSDR improve reaction times, problem-solving ability, and working memory. These improvements are the result of neurochemical shifts that occur when the nervous system downshifts into relaxation. Levels of neurotransmitters like acetylcholine and dopamine rebalance during this state, both of which are critical for focus and motivation. Acetylcholine in particular plays a central role in directing attention and strengthening neural connections related to learning. By engaging in NSDR, we are not only regaining the ability to focus in the moment, but also creating the optimal conditions for the brain to sustain focus longer once we re-engage with tasks. Another key component of restored focus is the way NSDR influences the body's overall stress response. Chronic stress not only tires the mind, but also narrows the scope of attention, making it difficult to concentrate on anything beyond immediate concerns. NSDR interrupts this pattern by lowering cortisol and reducing autonomic arousal, effectively widening the window of cognitive flexibility. When the nervous system resets, the prefrontal cortex is better able to operate without interference from stress-driven brain regions like the amygdala. The result is a brain that can think clearly, prioritize effectively, and remain steady under pressure. It's also important to understand that NSDR does not require long practice sessions to be effective. Unlike sleep, which follows set cycles lasting 90 minutes or more, the restorative qualities of NSDR can be accessed in as little as 10 minutes. This efficiency makes it an incredibly useful tool for people who are pressed for time yet need to regain clarity quickly. Whether before an important meeting, while preparing for an exam, or during a midday slump, NSDR acts like a reset button, giving the brain a condensed form of restoration that translates immediately into improved performance. Another dimension of clarity comes from the subjective awareness cultivated during NSDR. While the body is deeply relaxed, attention is gently guided, often toward breathing or body sensations. This guidance prevents the mind from wandering into ruminative thought patterns and instead anchors awareness in the present. This anchoring effect trains the brain to disengage from distractions and return to a state of single, pointed attention. Over time, the repeated practice of NSDR builds a stronger capacity to focus, not only during the session but in daily life. It is a form of attentional training disguised as rest. Through this practice, people begin to notice that mental clutter, fatigue, and distraction are not permanent states, but reversible conditions that can be shifted through deliberate protocols. By regularly restoring focus in this way, the brain builds resilience, allowing clarity to be more readily accessible even in demanding situations. Non-sleep deep rest is also a highly effective way to support physical recovery and replenish energy. The body, much like the mind, operates within a delicate balance of stress and restoration. When we exercise, work long hours, or face emotional challenges, we place stress on our muscles, joints, and organs. Normally, sleep is the primary time when the body repairs itself, consolidates energy, and clears out metabolic byproducts. However, sleep alone is often not enough, especially in modern environments where people are under near constant demand and frequently experience disrupted rest. NSDR provides a supplemental method to give the body recovery windows without having to wait until nighttime, offering a way to accelerate the restoration of physical resources during the day. When the nervous system shifts into the NSDR state, a series of physiological changes occur that directly support recovery. Muscle tone decreases, blood pressure drops, and oxygen delivery becomes more efficient. The slowing of respiration and heart rate reduces overall metabolic demands, which in turn allows energy that would normally be spent on stress and movement to be redirected toward repair processes. At the same time, the increase in parasympathetic activity enhances digestion, nutrient absorption, and tissue healing. In this sense, NSDR creates conditions similar to the restorative stages of sleep, but it can be accessed deliberately, on demand, and without the grogginess that sometimes accompanies waking from an unplanned nap. Energy replenishment during NSDR is not simply about reducing fatigue, but about rebalancing neurochemistry. Prolonged wakefulness and exertion deplete neurotransmitters such as dopamine, norepinephrine, and serotonin, all of which play a role in motivation, alertness, and mood. NSDR helps restore the levels and sensitivity of these chemicals, effectively recharging the body's motivational and energetic systems. After a session, people often report not only physical relaxation, but also a renewed willingness to engage in work, exercise, or creative tasks that previously felt exhausting. This reflects the nervous system's ability to reset its baseline levels of energy through short bouts of deliberate rest. Athletes in particular have been early adopters of NSDR-like practices because of their clear effects on recovery. Studies have shown that similar protocols reduce muscle soreness, accelerate glycogen replenishment, and improve subsequent performance. But the benefits are not limited to those pushing their physical limits in sports. For anyone experiencing daily fatigue from work, parenting, or simply navigating a high-stress lifestyle, the same principles apply. The body is always undergoing microdamage and energy depletion, and NSDR offers a simple, accessible tool to counteract that process. Even a single 10-minute session can reduce perceived exhaustion and restore a sense of vitality, allowing people to carry on with their day with less wear and tear. An often overlooked aspect of energy restoration is the role of the mitochondria, the tiny power plants inside our cells. Mitochondria generate the energy currency of the body, which fuels everything from muscle contractions to cognitive effort. Stress and chronic activation of the sympathetic nervous system place a heavy demand on these energy systems, sometimes leading to what people describe as burnout. By activating the parasympathetic nervous system, NSDR reduces that demand, giving mitochondria a chance to catch up and replenish their stores. This cellular-level recovery contributes to the feeling of being recharged after a session, as though the body has topped off its energy reserves. Another dimension worth noting is that NSDR also helps to balance hormonal systems related to recovery and energy. Cortisol, when chronically elevated, impairs tissue repair and contributes to fatigue. In contrast, growth hormone, which supports muscle repair and metabolic balance, is more active when the body is in a deeply relaxed state. By reducing stress hormones and creating a favorable hormonal environment, NSDR tilts the internal chemistry of the body toward recovery rather than depletion. Over time, this can lead to more resilient energy levels and a stronger capacity to recover from both physical and mental demands. The beauty of NSDR as a recovery tool is its accessibility. Unlike specialized treatments, supplements, or extended sleep interventions, it requires nothing more than a quiet space, a few minutes of time, and the willingness to let the body and mind shift into deliberate rest. This universality makes it valuable not just for athletes or individuals with high demands, but for anyone seeking a reliable way to restore physical energy in the middle of their day. By giving the body a chance to pause, recalibrate, and direct its resources inward, NSDR becomes a simple yet powerful ally in sustaining physical health and performance. Non-sleep deep rest also plays a significant role in enhancing learning and memory retention. The brain's ability to absorb information, form new connections, and stabilize those connections into long-term memory is not constant throughout the day. Instead, it is highly dependent on the brain's neurochemical environment and the balance between activity and rest. While intense focus and effort are required to encode new information, equally important is the downtime that follows. It is during these periods of reduced activity that the brain consolidates what it has learned, pruning away irrelevant signals and strengthening meaningful ones. NSDR provides an ideal framework for this consolidation to occur by guiding the nervous system into a state that maximizes plasticity while reducing interference from ongoing cognitive noise. When the brain is highly alert and engaged in learning, neuromodulators such as acetylcholine and dopamine surge to increase attention and motivation. These chemicals make the brain highly plastic, meaning it is primed to form new connections. But plasticity does not immediately result in stable memory. For those new connections to solidify, there must be a period in which the brain's activity shifts into slower rhythms, creating conditions for replay and reinforcement of the patterns laid down during active learning. NSDR helps facilitate this process by quieting external inputs and allowing the hippocampus and cortex, key structures for memory formation, to interact in ways that strengthen retention. Studies on rest and sleep show that even short bouts of non-sleep states can dramatically improve recall and performance on learned tasks. A powerful example of this is seen in motor learning. Research has demonstrated that people who engage in relaxation, or NSDR, like states after practicing a new motor skill, such as playing a sequence on the piano or performing a new athletic movement, show faster and more reliable improvements than those who simply move on to another task. The reason is that the nervous system uses this downtime to replay the neural patterns activated during learning, much like a rehearsal that occurs without conscious effort. By engaging in NSDR, individuals essentially give their brain permission to rehearse and ingrain new skills more efficiently. The same principle applies to cognitive and academic learning. After studying, working on complex problems, or absorbing new material, the brain is in a heightened state of plasticity, but also at risk of interference from subsequent tasks. If the brain does not get a chance to downshift and consolidate, much of what was learned can be lost or weakened. A brief NSDR session serves as a protective buffer, allowing the brain to lock in the information before being flooded with new inputs. This is one reason why people often notice they can recall material more clearly or apply skills more effectively after pairing learning sessions with NSDR. Beyond consolidation, NSDR also reduces mental fatigue, which is a major obstacle to sustained learning. Fatigue not only reduces the capacity to focus, but also increases susceptibility to distraction, making it harder for the brain to encode and organize information. By resetting the nervous system and restoring clarity, NSDR allows learners to return to tasks with renewed focus, ensuring that the quality of learning remains high over longer periods. Over time, this combination of efficient encoding and reliable consolidation results in a stronger memory foundation and greater cognitive resilience. It's also important to recognize that NSDR fosters a mindset that indirectly supports learning. By training attention to gently return to breathe or bodily awareness, the practice strengthens the very circuits involved in concentration and reduces the pull of distraction. These attentional skills are transferable, meaning that the benefits extend beyond the session itself into any activity that requires focus. In this way, NSDR not only enhances memory retention, but also improves the ability to sustain learning efforts in the first place. At a mechanistic level, the interplay of brainwaves during NSDR supports this learning process. The transition into theta states is particularly important, as theta rhythms are associated with memory consolidation and creative insight. This explains why many people emerge from NSDR not only feeling refreshed, but also experiencing sudden clarity or new perspectives on problems they were working on. By engaging the brain in this oscillatory state, NSDR bridges the gap between effortful learning and the effortless integration of knowledge. Through deliberate use of NSDR, anyone can create conditions that make their learning more efficient and enduring. It is not about replacing hard work or deep study, but about complementing those efforts with the recovery phases that the brain requires. Just as muscles grow stronger not during the workout itself, but in the periods of rest that follow, the brain becomes more capable of storing and recalling information when it is given deliberate opportunities to rest and reset. A defining strength of non-sleepdeeprest is that it is a science-based tool you can use anytime, regardless of location, schedule, or level of experience. Unlike practices that require specialized training, elaborate equipment, or long durations, NSDR is deliberately simple, accessible, and grounded in the way the nervous system naturally operates. Its foundation lies in decades of neuroscience research on states of rest, relaxation, and sleep, combined with more recent findings on neuroplasticity and recovery. What emerges from this research is not a mystical or vague protocol, but a practical, evidence-supported method that anyone can deploy as needed. This universality makes NSDR a powerful resource for restoring energy and balance in the midst of modern life. One of the most valuable aspects of NSDR is its flexibility. Because it leverages the body's intrinsic mechanisms of relaxation, it can be practiced at virtually any time of day. For someone who has just completed a period of focused work, NSDR can serve as a reset before transitioning to the next task. For those experiencing an afternoon slump, it offers a stimulant, free way to restore alertness and energy. In the evening, it can act as a bridge between wakefulness and sleep, helping the nervous system downshift into a state that supports restorative rest. This adaptability is rare among recovery practices and is part of what makes NSDR such a versatile tool. The practice also does not demand long sessions to be effective. While traditional meditation or full cycles of sleep may require extended time commitments, NSDR produces measurable benefits in as little as 10 minutes. Neuroscience research shows that these short bouts are sufficient to shift brainwaves into states that promote recovery and consolidation. This efficiency is especially important in modern environments where people feel they have little time to spare. Rather than requiring a large investment, NSDR provides a compact, targeted protocol that yields high returns in focus, energy, and emotional balance. Another key factor in the utility of NSDR is its neutrality. Because it is based on physiological mechanisms rather than a particular belief system, it is widely accessible across cultures, professions, and age groups. People who might feel intimidated by meditation or skeptical of wellness practices often find NSDR approachable because it is framed in terms of the nervous system, neurochemistry, and evidence. This neutrality also means that NSDR can be paired with virtually any other practice or lifestyle, serving as a complement rather than a replacement. It can be integrated into athletic recovery, academic study routines, corporate wellness programs, or personal self-care, always adapting to the individual's needs. The science supporting NSDR highlights not only its immediate effects, but also its cumulative benefits over time. Regular practice strengthens the nervous system's ability to shift between sympathetic and parasympathetic states, a skill known as autonomic flexibility. This flexibility is associated with resilience, reduced vulnerability to stress, and improved overall health. By practicing NSDR consistently, people essentially train their nervous system to reset more quickly and efficiently, making it easier to remain balanced even in the face of ongoing challenges. In this way, NSDR functions as both an acute intervention and a long-term investment in well-being. Accessibility also extends to the learning curve of the practice. While many techniques require months or years of training to master, NSDR is effective almost immediately. Guided protocols provide clear instructions that require no prior experience, and because the practice relies on natural physiological shifts, the body and brain know how to respond. With repetition, the process becomes easier, but even the first session often produces a noticeable change in how a person feels and performs. This low barrier to entry makes NSDR a rare tool, one that is both beginner, friendly, and capable of delivering profound results. The portability of NSDR further enhances its usefulness. Because it does not rely on external devices, a person can engage in NSDR at home, in the office, while traveling, or even in a short break during a demanding day. All that is required is a quiet environment and a willingness to follow the protocol. This portability eliminates excuses and ensures that the tool remains available regardless of circumstances. In stressful or unpredictable environments, this reliability becomes especially important, offering a sense of control when external factors cannot be managed. By grounding itself in the mechanisms of the nervous system and offering a flexible, efficient, and accessible protocol, NSDR emerges as more than just a relaxation technique. It is a universally applicable tool that people can rely on to restore balance and energy regardless of their situation or goals.